What's going on YouTube? Hope y'all doing fantastic. So there's a lot of information, dialogue going back and forth on YouTube in the trucking space, but that's all right. Y'all be all right. But this video is about lease purchase, man. And whether, I'm not going to say whether you should lease or you should not lease, because leasing has its purposes. But a lot of people, hold on one second here. All right. But a lot of people get into the lease without really understanding, comprehending the workings of it. Before I get there, my videos are not, the content that I put out is not to say, it's not A, B, C, D, and so on. It's to give you all information on how things work behind the scenes and the, what's the word do I want to use? And how things go together and things like this, and how companies think with the psychology of it and things like that. Which, if you don't want to hear that stuff, go ahead. I'll wait for you. You can go hit the thumbs down and you can check yourself out. Unsubscribe, do whatever you want. But I'm not here to tell you you need to go to this company, or I recommend you go to this company or that company or this company or that company. I inform you on how these companies operate. That way you can make a decision and go from there. So with that being said, let's talk about lease purchases. Am I against lease purchases? No. Because having a lease purchase is a business decision to where, but you have to have a game plan. You have to have a exit plan after the end of the lease. Are you just going to use the lease to rent the truck, or are you going to pay the truck off? That's for you to decide. But if you're going to do a lease purchase, make sure you research the company that you're going with, because all leases are not created equal. Now, I'm going to use a couple of companies as an example. I have not worked for these companies. I am not recommending that you go to these companies. I have no financial interest in these companies. I'm just using them as an example because I see that they are popular. First one is Snyder. Now, why do some guys make it at Snyder? Snyder has their own freight. I'll say it again. They have their own freight. So when a lease guy goes over to Snyder, does all the paperwork, gets their lease truck, whatever, and they're on, I guess they have the what do they call it? The bulletin board, monopoly board, what's that thing called? Choice board or something? Yeah. It's their own customer freight. So they're not getting brokered loads off the open forum broker board, but we're just sticking with Snyder right now. So therefore, if you're in a lease, you're in an advantage over some other company that does not have that customer freight where you can probably pretty much go wherever you want, to at least cover your truck payment. So, because they're going to make sure they get their money, whether you take $800 home, $1,500 home after expenses, or whether you take $5 home, the loads are there to where you were able to do that. Another company like Prime. I guess I heard people mention Prime. Now, I have no financial interest in Prime at all. Prime's the same way. They have their own customer freight. So that's an advantage when you're looking at companies to, okay, they have their own customer freight. They're not pulling off the broker board. So this is how people may or may not have been successful, because maybe they didn't understand how to run well, whatever. This is things that you need to look at if you're going to get in a lease purchase. Now, you can very well go over to Craigslist, go in the transport section under jobs, and you'll see company ABC, we're hiring owner-operators, lease operators, we'll get you a truck, no down payment, blah, 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 so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Same spiel, right? Now, does company ABC, do they have their own freight? And you're thinking about going to lease purchase on them, you might want to stop and think about that, because, because if they're pulling freight off the broker board, which is basically spot market, what's called spot market freight, that means this week, now I'm talking about dry van and reefer. I mean, I'm not talking about flatbed or anything like that, because I'm not familiar with those. I haven't done those, so I'm not going to speak on those. I'm just talking about reefer and dry van. Spot market freight is just basically, this week, this load could pay, let's say, $1.50. The following week, it could pay $1.75. The week after that, it could pay $1.12. So that's spot market freight, and the broker controls it. The brokers control this number. It should be the drivers or the trucking companies that control that number, but it's the brokers that control that number. But if you're leasing onto a company that does not have their own customer freight, and they're just hauling spot market freight, it's too unpredictable, because you'll find yourself, you'll take a load from point A to point B, then you'll sit for a couple days, then then you'll find another cheap load going someplace else. Not a cheap load, but it'll be a couple days, so all that time you just wasted whatever it cost you. Oh man. Whatever you need to make a day, it just cost you that amount because you were sitting. So that's another video on, mileage versus cost per day versus cost per hour versus, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're going to do a lease purchase, find a company that has their own customer freight. So that way you're not pulling spot market freight. Now, they could pull loads off the public load board, but 90% of their freight is their own customer freight. If you're going to do lease purchase, stick with those type of companies. Not unless you can go to a smaller company that offers lease purchase, but instead of paying this high dollar amount per week, I don't know what Snyder charges, or Prime, or whoever, $700, $800, $900 a week, whatever. You can go to this smaller company where the payment might be maybe $300, $350, maybe $400 a week, which is a little bit more manageable compared to this other stuff, but then you're still at the mercy of the spot market rates, if they don't have their own customer freight. Even if they do have their own customer freight, they may only give you just enough to survive. But I said enough in this video. Watch it again. If you like it, go ahead and like it. If you don't like it, hit that thumbs down button, unsubscribe, slam your computer down, do whatever you want. But I'll see you on the next one.